Oh,
Oh, okay.
okay.
Oh.
Continue.
I'm gonna edit all this out.
Like leave meeting. Action.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, please.
This is very.
The interpretive dance.
Hello. Welcome to episode 11 of the Cosmic Earth Conversations. I am the giggly Natalie over here. And I'd like to introduce all of you to my friends Karen, Tena, and Liv. Hey, y'all. Thanks for joining me. For those who don't know, this is the third time we've recorded a conversation together. So if you haven't checked those conversations out, you should check out Liv's YouTube channel and Quantum Healing with Tena YouTube channel to check out this conversation. There's some continuity there and not. But yeah, before we start the conversation today, I would love if y'all could introduce yourselves. And we'll start with you, Karen.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Karen. I'm an intuitive starseed, energetic healer, beyond quantum healing practitioner, channel, medium, psychic surgeon. I'm naming all my human things. And a remote spirit release practitioner. And what do you usually say? Multidimensional being. Hello.
Mic drop.
Yeah. Now I leave the meeting.
Thank you, Karen. Tena, would you like to go next?
Sure. My name's Tena, and I am a Beyond Quantum Healing practitioner, a spirit releasement therapist, and an intuitive empath. Hello.
And Liv.
Let's see. What am I? I'm amused is what I am. I'm let's see. I'm a Cantonese voice diviner and a ritual facilitator, and I have a school, a shamanic healing school. I guess I'm a co-creatress with spirit, essentially.
Another mic drop.
Yeah.
Well, I am so happy to be here with all of y'all and to be in this conversation. I just genuinely love all of you. And,
You too.
Love you too, Natalie.
thank you.
And Liv. I know, like group hug.
I feel like we could just continue laughing for the next hour, but I will try to stir some of this shit so we can have a conversation. And with that, keeping in mind of this question that Liv had asked us in the first time we all connected together, and would love if Tena, if you can share a little bit about what Beyond Quantum Healing is, and yeah, and whatever else is on your heart around that.
Okay. Well, it's really difficult for me to bring words to what Beyond Quantum Healing is because it's so expansive and multidimensional. But basically, okay, so we have the left side of our brain, right? And the left side is very logical, it's reasoning, it's the part of our brain that's mostly engaged on an everyday basis when we're doing all of our things, right? And so the point of having a Beyond Quantum Healing session is to quiet that side of the brain so that it's not so pronounced. And then we can tap into the right side of the brain, which is our imagination, our intuition, our creativity, our subconscious. And it's also said to be the connection with our higher self and the subconscious realm of ourselves. And the subconscious mind holds all the information. It basically is the quantum realm. And the quantum field or the quantum realm, however you want to say that, contains all the information that ever was, all that is, and all that will ever be. So, and you know, we're pretty much surrounded by this field all the time. We're just not in the correct brain state to be able to tap into that. So in a Beyond Quantum Healing session, and it's called Beyond because it goes beyond kind of the original quantum healing hypnosis technique that was created by Dolores Cannon. And she was a hypnotherapist in the early 60s who started noticing as time went on that her clients were slipping into past lives. And then pretty soon they were connecting with their higher selves or with beings from other universes or galaxies, other planets. And so it evolved into what it is currently, into Beyond Quantum Healing, and which was created by Candace Carl Goldman, who was a student of Dolores's, and they were very close. They worked like side by side for many years. And Candace took it to another level, basically opening it up to being less restrictive so that practitioners can use all of their skills in a session, whether that's sound healing or Reiki or whatever specific skills they have, they're allowed to use. And it opens the door for, I would say, a more holistic approach. And it also, in Beyond Quantum Healing, we're allowed to do sessions online, which is amazing because you can connect with people all over the world, you know, and because energy goes beyond time and space, you don't have to necessarily be in the same room with your client. Oh, there's
sorry, my internet went unstable. I think you were saying that you can do such. Sorry, y'all. I don't know what's happening.
Karen's face. She was like, we're like, did Natalie just leave us?
My internet's apparently unstable, so awesome.
It's probably just all of our energies, you know.
Yeah, I'm like,
You were saying because of the Beyond Quantum, you can do sessions online, right? That's what you were saying?
Yeah.
You kind of froze, and I know that the audio on my side is not going to pick it up. So I was like,
Yeah.
it's probably gonna be paused like this.
Oh my goodness, this is gonna be funny.
sorry,
Yeah.
Tina.
Okay. So
You're doing a really
We're
good
in a good flow.
It was a really good explanation, and I was like, "What's happening, Natalie?" She's like, "I really love that."
It was a really great explanation. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's wrong.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
Okay, sorry, it's hot. Go ahead.
okay. So yeah, so we could do online sessions, which and you know, it kind of came just in time. I think Candace created Beyond Quantum Healing in like 2018. So it kind of came just in time for 2020, you know, when everyone's locked down and we couldn't specifically meet with clients and things like that. So a lot of practitioners were turning to online sessions, and I find that they're no more, it's just as easy to connect online because we're connecting energetically. And I found that our online sessions have been the most powerful ones. So yeah, so it's basically just tapping into the quantum field, connecting with higher aspects of ourselves. There's so much that we can do in a session as far as like releasing deeply stored emotions that have come from lifetimes and our ancestry as well. So it's a really like a multi-dimensional approach to healing. And you know, you will get in a session whatever is ready to come to the surface for you, you know. So your higher self's always going to give you exactly what you need in the moment, not exactly what you always want, but it's exactly what you need and like what your being needs to heal or clear or know. So yeah, each and every session is completely unique and different from the next. And maybe Liv can tell you what the experience is like being on the other side.
I'm totally happy to. Because that's actually how I would say that we reconnected in this lifetime, because clearly we all have done this before. I mean, not this particular, like, on our little talk show or whatever, or like comedy or whatever we got. We've like, through lifetimes, definitely. But yeah, I was somehow I caught wind of Dolores, and it was in this past year, and then I was listening and kind of like taking in like reading her books from the, I almost said like channeled material, but I guess it's from the actual sessions, but it is, I feel, also channeled. And then I just was having the strong intuition too that I needed to have a session for whatever was in my being that was like needing to be revealed, that it felt close but not something I could access myself, and it just needed that way. And then I had found Candace, and then she was, I wanted to have the session soon, and she gave me like a list of referral, a list of people. And when I was going through the list, I just would like get a quick energy read, and they all seem like really, it's interesting, like the different people that I've noticed, what I read from the energy is the different practitioners in general. What was noteworthy to me about the practitioners in general is I felt like I sensed like a clarity of purpose that I don't normally sense with people. There was like something in their energy field. There's a way that an energy, a person, a soul feels when they're like have clarity about their purpose. It's like, anyway, so I was noticing that. I was like, this work is clearly working because these practitioners have a clarity of purpose, or they're in touch with their purpose, So anyway, I went through these different, like quickly read the energy. And then when I came to your website, or Tena, then I was like, okay, that's the practitioner. And then we scheduled a session, and anyway, so we've had 2 sessions by now, and it's super, super deep. And Natalie, I love you. We've known each other, well, through lifetimes, but in this lifetime also, we've been in some really like pretty deep, ritual experiences in different places. But it was like, that went deep. That went super deep. And it felt, I told you, Tena, that I experienced you like a priestess, and you thought that was funny. I don't know why. I'm like, you didn't get the priestess about yourself. and then Karen, I feel you, like, oh, she's like a vision, to feel these different things about you both. But and then so when we worked together, it felt very like with it was ceremonial. There was like the drinking of the water and a lot of intentionality, and it felt like a ceremony to me, which, as I experience ceremony or ritual, it's like there's a real there's an exit of the day-to-day reality, and there's an entering into the multidimensionality of existence, which, as I've been able to notice myself also, as you mentioned, it's the brainwave states. That's what it's like. For the longest time, I didn't know how to explain to people how to go into the other world, or how to, and I've just needed to like keep experiencing different brainwave states. Like once I started to study into brainwave states, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a way to explain it. It's because, and I know what the energy feels like. It feels like basically a person's not in their head, they're not in their head, they're not in their mental sphere. Things sync up, the hemispheres sync up, and then you go into like a trance state, and then you're entering, it's the multidimensional self that was always there. It's just like removing the obstacle from noticing it, removing the obstacle that prohibits one from knowing that. So anyway, when we were in the session, then it was pretty amazing. I was kind of astounded, like how quickly we went into, or how quickly I went into through your guidance. It felt very protected. Like I noticed things like that. If any little scraggler is able to come in or something, like it was like, it was, you know, airtight or whatever. It was like a sound, you know, experience in that way, which is important when you're going in a very vulnerable, like deeply receptive space. It was like the temple was, you know, protected basically. And then yeah, I was amazed. I was like following the different like vortex, or the kind of the going into the past life, and all of a sudden I was like, it was it was profound. And then connecting with these star beings, and just it felt as real, if not more real, than anything in this dimension. Very emotional, and it was just like right there. It's amazing, like with a proper kind of little portal or whatever exactly that happens, then it's amazing how like, you know, but far enough away from my own ability to access it, that I needed to be with a practitioner who, you know, who knew her way through the dimensions. And so, and also something that was really amazing too about it was the healing, how much healing happens in the sessions both times. That and one of the times it was from these star beings that were there, and being able to give me like a like alter my energy field. And then another one, I mean, it's amazing. The last one I remembered more, it stayed with me more. And then it's these senses, like I was sensing the lifetime of Atlantis. I knew I was in Atlantis, I think multiple lifetimes. But to go there and then to have understanding of like, it's not just for, you know, it's not like for entertainment purpose, you know, like there's always a reason, you know. It may be entertaining also, but there's a purpose. And also something I really appreciated about it too is that it shows you it through your facilitation. It also shows all the like the intensity that we experience, all the pain, all the thing that we can just, I believe that we need, I'll speak for myself, I need to understand. Like I'm a person, I need to understand spiritually. Like I'll get stuck on something until I come to the understanding spiritually that needed to happen. And sometimes we need like guidance for that, you know, because it's just we're too in it or something to understand. And so I really appreciated that too, is like all of it. It's what I believe too. It's like, it's all with purpose. The family we birth into, the culture we birth into, all of it. And so that we can understand even some of the most like intense experiences. And yeah, I was amazed like how much healing, and multidimensional for sure, because once like you enter into this ceremony, like you're moving through dimensions. And yeah, was that a decent explanation? Basically,
that was more than decent.
yeah, it was super amazing. And it's really, I could feel it so deep down in the back of the head, you know. And it's yeah, so anyway.
My God, I know what you're talking about.
What's
Where
that?
You feel it in your head?
Yeah, like right at this particular point in the back of the head, like you kind of feel it deep in there.
I didn't even know anyone knew about that till you just said it. Because I'm like, I know my sensations, but that's the first time someone has ever said that.
Yeah, it's like this sensation. It's a particular part of the head that I'm like, wow, it gets deep down in there.
Yeah, that's where your matrix cord is. Well, that's where it is in the movie.
Yeah.
The cord goes there.
Yeah, it is.
It's a specific place.
Like right back there is the occipital lobe.
Yeah.
Which, like in the way that your brain works, that's how you're able to see. So if you ever get like hit here in like the occipital lobe,
yeah, that's where the lights go.
Lights go off. Like you can't see. People get like damage here in the occipital lobe. That they'll lose their vision because that's how your vision works. Is via the nerve, the occipital nerve that goes into the occipital lobe.
Oh, that's
you're able to see, which is interesting because seeing, and then you're able to see. And
Yeah, it's interesting also because that just came up when I had the interview with Andrew, the galactic historian, the other day. He was specifically talking about that at the occiput. He was saying something about, I don't know what those like vertebrae or whatever exactly that. I don't understand anatomy, but he was basically saying how you can like look in there and just see all the like the patterning or what's happened to a person in their life, like read it, I guess more like a medical intuitive. But something I also wanted to say about the experience with Tina with the quantum healing is something I really appreciate about it. I imagine a lot of people experience this, is it's empowering for the person going through the process. Like I communicate with different realms, and I that's more of my reality. But I think my imagining is it's probably really empowering for somebody that rather if they go to a diviner or something and the person is just telling them, they're accessing it, that they're a part of the process. And I imagine that's probably really empowering for somebody, because I imagine I'm like, oh, I bet it's so helpful for people touching into their purpose.
Absolutely.
That they can
That's one of like the main reasons I love it so much.
It's empowering, right, for people. I would imagine that they had a part in like accessing that. I imagine that's really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the main reasons I was so drawn to it, because it is so empowering for people, and you're so used to kind of tapping into those realms multidimensionally, but for just like a regular person who's not super spiritual and is not a shaman, like you can imagine how being able to do that for themselves is super empowering.
Super empowering. I bet.
Yeah, and to self-heal, because you're doing the work yourself.
Right. I know both times I was fascinated. I was like, wow, there's a lot of healing that takes place in those sessions. And both there were different beings or higher self that was facilitating it. Well, with Tina's facilitation, I was amazed. And honestly, I have a pretty like I like to really go in deep. And there was a certain point I'm like, okay, I'm good. We're good. We're cool. Stop going. I'm like, no, I'm good. Stop.
Too deep.
Like,
I know you need a safe word.
Safe word. I felt it though. I felt it.
Totally, you did. You did. Then I was like, yeah, no, that's good. I'm gonna go to sleep now.
Well, I think it's also great is that those sessions are long.
Yeah.
So you have like that like space to really, really, really drop in.
Yeah, I love that you and Karen, or that Tina and Karen, you both, that I'm like super fascinated that you go into these, you do this work together. I haven't experienced it obviously with you both, but I mean sorry, I don't want to take in your role. I'm like, like, sorry.
Please continue.
Natalie's gonna turn off her
I was like really
again.
listening to you.
I'm really fascinated. I watched one of the videos, with you both, and it's what do you call it again? It's surrogate? No, am I making?
Oh, the tandem sessions?
Yeah, the tandem sessions, and it's totally fascinating. So you two, like, you all like sync up, it seems like psychically.
Yeah. Yeah. We just get extra. Like I'm there, honestly, like when we do tandem sessions to kind of just be the, a crutch for them.
Yeah.
In case, like, because sometimes like they have that performance anxiety and they're like, oh, and then they go in, Tina lands you, and then they're like, what do you see? And they're like, it's black. Like, okay. Which can happen. Like they're expecting something, to see something, to feel something, but that's why I really like when she does the imagination exercises to kind of get them warmed up a little bit, and it kind of plays in with all the senses. So I find like doing that kind of helps them a lot more. And then like I'm there, so I mean, like I am like a professional like daydreamer, so it's easy for me to go in. And it's really bad though, because sometimes like she'll be doing induction and I'll fall asleep. And then she has cue words that I wake up and then I'll continue. So yeah, I can easily just go in and help them. So I mean, like I just see, like it depends. Sometimes I sync up with the person and how they are. Like, so if they are more seeing, I'll see more. If they're more sensing, I'll sense more. So I sync up with their stuff. And I find like, yeah, we've been able to get some incredible information, at least things like where they get their pieces of the puzzle. And then it's like, I'll get the extra pieces so that we could put the complete thing together. So it's, you know, or it works in, what was it like the other time? Like we had someone like had seen one view and I had seen the opposing view.
Mm.
So it was like they were able to see like two different scenarios of like, you know, and being able to see themselves as that opposition or whatever it is, so that they can embrace themselves that they are everything kind of thing, you know, like um but yeah, we really enjoy that they are able to go in and under with us, because again, like you said, you know, you feel more empowered by doing it. Like we do offer surrogate where I go in for them, they're not there at all, they just get the recording. But yeah, there's just something about it, about them being there and being able to take part in their own healing. So it's like, again, another way for them to also be held accountable for themselves, you know, instead of just getting, you know, sometimes it's just fun to ask a psychic questions and get their answers. But there's also something about it where you see that you are the psychic too, you know, you can see it as well and feel it, and then feel that change in your body, you know, because sometimes we do energetic work on them live, you know, like with the guides and stuff, and they are able to feel all of that as it's happening, you know. So yeah, I enjoy the work a lot. Like we were able to see so many and meet so many different varieties of personalities that are able to join and see themselves as, you know, a bird or you know, an extraterrestrial, like just seeing them as their multidimensional self. And it's just fascinating for them. Like I love sitting in that and hearing they're like, wow, like it's so amazing to them, you know. Yeah.
That's cool. I can imagine too, like having you seeing one view and them seeing the other, that probably helps them like be like, oh yeah, that was real. Like I really did see
It's
that.
Yeah, it's validating for them.
Yeah.
Definitely. Anything else?
and it so yeah, it's like super validating, and it helps them with the trust in their own self, right? Like when Karen's feeling, seeing, sensing, knowing the same thing that they are, but they're afraid to say it,
Yeah.
it allows for that more that deeper trust in self, that oh yeah, this is right, you know. So that's one of the main reasons I love tandem sessions so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to working with y'all soon. I know it's gonna happen.
Yeah, you
Yay!
should. That
I'll
would
look
be
into
so
this one.
fun.
That just-
I'm looking forward to you working with them too, Natalie. Yeah, not even. I think I just, yeah, I know you're gonna.
Why don't why don't we do like we've always been asking for this, but like more than two people under, like three. So like if you live and Natalie and I go under together, you know, like something like that.
Yeah.
that would be nuts.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe we'll remember when I was your grandma.
Yeah, exactly. No, Natalie was.
I mean, I know you remember it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have more of the visceral experience, and you know, this is, I believe, all the ways that you all and we all practice too. I mean, these are the messages that I continue to get with the contemplative, especially in the last years. They were just saying that this era that we've shifted into by now, it's like all the it's all like all the healing modalities and everything, that it's like it all gets very starry, you know. It's like it's multi-dimensional. It's like working with spirit medicine, it's with like sound healing and everything. And both of the times that I worked with Tena, it was like it was echoing also so many messages that I received from the Kantama. It's like it's so like there's so much about sound healing now and everything. And um like you know, if people talk a lot or relate as empaths, and maybe the one that's experienced as the empath is um you know, starry by design, basically. And it's understanding like more qualities of what's referred to as the empath, and what that sensitivity is also connecting them with or to or echoing from other kind of starry places. So it feels like it's helping people to remember a lot of their kind of starry relatives. And I mean, it's just amazing when that the like the day-to-day mind or something is moved out of the way. Or as I mentioned, I mean, it was really fascinating for me too, because I'll experience it in other ways, like a rattle and bells or something, and it's like go into a trance state. What is a trance state, you know? And then that's when all of a sudden there's access to these other dimensions. They were here, there's just like a layer or membrane that keeps it from, and that's what we call, you know, whatever 3D or our day-to-day reality, which I think is really overrated. Like,
Yeah.
really, more, you know, truth be told, like I just don't know how much that I really am starting to wonder how much that way of functioning is really needed. I really am. More and more I'm wondering that, because
Right.
I really am wondering that, you know, it's, I mean, I'm definitely like heart oriented and everything, but it's like, I don't know. Even what's spoken about as memory, or we have this idea that we have like some data bank or something, that it's like, oh, our memory is running out. As I experience it, the more clearing I experience, and that's through emotion code and all these different ways, you know, the memory doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. That's what I realized. Like the more clearing that happens, the memory is always there. It's always accessible. It's just a matter of like all of a sudden, like, oh, the memory doesn't go anywhere. It's, I think, what people also refer to as the like Akashic records or something, that space that my feeling is that it's a completely different way of relating, where we think before that learning is outer to inner, and the more I experience it, like learning is all there. It's a matter of releasing the obstructions to it, and then any of us can be streaming from, it's just the knowing is direct, it's right there. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I feel like, the different ways that I perceive or have experienced you all practicing. It's, I mean, for sure it's multidimensional, and I feel that that is, you know, perhaps the practitioner that might be really supportive to what is referred to as like the empath, you know, or as people are remembering themselves as star seeds, or, you know, it's a whole new world as far as what I perceive. It doesn't look like it outside yet, but
No.
it takes a little time for the, you know, for the physical to
Catch up.
catch up to the spiritual. So it's, yeah, it looks actually like the complete opposite.
Yeah. It's funny because as y'all were talking about the brainwaves, I like had this like memory of, and it's funny, it's like comical to me now, but my mom, when I was younger, and she still does this today, but there's this thing called the Silva Method. Have you ever heard of it?
I think I've heard of it.
You have heard of it?
I don't know what it is though.
So my mom has like these CDs. I mean, these actually she has cassette, like cassette tapes. Like that's when she first had the cassette tapes, and now I think she has CDs and all these things. She's like, her and my sister have gone to this conference once, and they were learning about medical intuitives and all these different things. And so I was a young kid. I was probably like 7 or 8, and I just wanted to be outside. That was like my go-to. And she would make me come inside like after school, and I would be in my little school uniform. I was in 3rd grade, and she would make me sit on a chair and listen to these meditations, which were basically helping you practice go into a deep meditative state.
Oh, interesting.
And I remember like I couldn't really tell you much about it because I really didn't want to do it. I just wanted to be outside. That was my way of going into my deep meditative state, was being outside. But she wanted me to like learn this practice of like dropping in. And I remember the visual that comes to mind whenever I think of Silva Method is like there's an elevator shaft and I'm going down the floors. And that was the way that, like, I don't know if that was exactly the words that they used, but that's the visual that always comes to mind to me, of like going to those deep meditative states of like dropping in. And now I recognize, like, oh, what they were teaching you is how to go into that theta wave state.
Mm-hmm.
And like a very particular, there's many different ways to say it. And then Karen, when you were talking about daydreaming,
Mm-hmm.
I think daydreaming is a way to go into those theta wave states and live. Like, how many times have we been in ceremony together when you go into that like ceremonial energy that allows for you to go into that theta wave state.
Mm-hmm.
Theta wave state, I think, for what I'm understanding, is like that's the way that you can attune your physical being into entering into that to that liminal space.
Mm-hmm.
And I know before we started the recording, I asked y'all what the quantum field or quantum realm meant for you, and I told you what it meant for me, and I'll share that later. But I was wondering if y'all could, for a moment, in the way that you've experienced going into that like portal space or whatever it may be.
Karen.
Oh, in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, being put on the spot again.
Like watching the little
Panicking.
like movements. We're with you, Karen. We're with you.
I know, thank you. It's just I can't hide myself.
I actually didn't notice. I was just remembering what you were saying before.
But yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to share about what you think of that.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Quantum.
Quantum like means to you, or like what is your guess of like what it is?
Quantum? Mine is just like everything. Like it's everything in existence that can exist and beyond. Like I don't know. I don't think we could even explain what it is because like the universe is so vast and limitless. So it's that and more. Like I mean, we could talk about like being like in a multidimensional place or like a parallel universe, but that's just like one part of it. And I find quantum, like when you say that, it's just anything that could exist.
Yeah.
That's for me. Next.
Liv, you're next.
Oh, am I next?
Panic.
That's kind of highlighted around you, so I let that go.
Oh, let's see. I mean, quantum. Yeah, I feel like it's a pop quiz or something.
Yeah.
Quantum. Let's see. Quantum. I mean,
No answer is wrong.
Oh shoot! Did I already get it wrong? Quantum. I feel like Quintumle has given me that homework for the past year or something, and so I've been listening to different. I guess you would say like quantum. How do you call them? Like quantum
Healer?
teachers or people practitioners of quantum physics. So I've been in that exploration for the past year, or a little bit longer than that. So and it's interesting because it feels like there are luminous fibers. There are luminous fibers that ancients also spoke about too. That it's what creation comes from. These like golden luminous fibers that it's so when we imagine and we choose to believe in things, or we come together as a community and we believe together in whatever exactly it is that we believe in, like spirit or goddess energy or whatever, and then it grows that also something that could also exist already in the field. And so we give life or give light to it. We so it's this, and then sometimes it's like, I've been totally fascinated by it too, because it's like for as long as I've been working with spirit, I mean, there's definitely still the Western mind in me, and so I find it really, really super enjoyable to understand about these, how it kind of what they found accidentally really through like quantum physics was that there are these like parallel realities or these things. And so it's kind of it's honestly, it's like an ongoing study for me that it's not just if I understand this to be true, it's our thoughts and it's our word and it's our energy that creates. And this morning when I was practicing with the field, I could see it. Like I could see whatever I was imagining, like the pictures came out of my head. I could watch it, so I was imagining something and I could watch the picture like project out of my head, and I could watch like the divine energy seeing what I'm consciously creating. And so to me, like what I've learned is that it seems like the key is to clear out as much from the unconscious subconscious, which is connected to work that you all are doing, so that we're not creating, if that's 95% of what's happening or what's going into creation, then so we're not creating unconsciously. So that 95% is like, oh God, I don't want that to happen or whatever. And then, these pictures come up out of our head. And so, that's so yeah, it's just like, I understand like the quantum part is, that it feels like the whole thing about the energy that exponentiates. There's a certain point in the field that feels like birth of star energy. That's what it feels like, the one that exponentiates. There's these particular ones that it feels like birth of star energy, and they exponentiate. So it's something that I've just been watching, that it's like some people I notice know how to work with that energy, and so it exponentiates. And so what they create goes into exponentiation or something like that. So it's my ongoing study, basically, is how did I do? Okay.
Thank you.
It's something that I actually am like studying every day.
Yeah.
By watching the energy, sitting with it. Yeah.
How about you, Tina?
Well, I was just thinking as Liv was talking about the collective unconscious, and how like everything that we're seeing right now on Earth is a manifestation of our unconsciousness.
God. Mm-hmm.
Everything from
I'm getting triggered right now.
from the kind of lowest levels of our one-on-one relationships with family and friends, and all the way up to the highest levels of control and things like the World Economic Forum, and even higher than that, even to the Galactic Federation, and how they're controlling humanity, and how all of that is a manifestation of the human unconscious.
Yeah.
All of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the work that we do is so important, to bring consciousness to the unconscious parts of ourselves and how we're functioning. Like there's nothing we can do about the outside world, right? The only thing we have control over is ourselves, and how we're showing up in the world, and what kind of energy and consciousness we're bringing to the world. So the more we clear away or bring light to those unconscious parts of ourselves, the more we're assisting the collective in clearing that unconsciousness, So I find that that is the most important thing we can do right now for ourselves and for the collective, for the universe, really. Yeah.
True.
How do we tap into that collective unconscious, like as like its own thing? That's like the curiosity that came into me. Like, how can we? And we're doing the individual work, and then like I'm like, how can we like? Where is that collective unconscious? How can we just like?
Well, I think it's
the,
for me, it's the trigger that I get, like with what's going on now with the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm just seeing how, you look at these people and you're just like, how do you not see it? How are you that stupid? But that's just a trigger in me of that unconscious in them, that I'm trying to have compassion for. So yeah, I think it's like by just, I guess by just being thrown in the wolves and just living with these people and just interacting with them, yeah, you'll see the shadow, you'll see it all. Like it's very much there. I mean, like I even recognized it myself before I woke up, you know, like I was like, wow, I really did, you know, I could see myself being one of those people.
Oh, totally.
Like, you know, and it's just that we were fortunate enough not to be able to wake up and see the bigger picture. You know, everyone's just in their tunnel vision, right? So, but yeah, I recognize that in them, like in myself, how I used to just take it and be like, okay, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, I don't want to be confronted. I'm just gonna be a law-abiding citizen. I'm gonna do what is expected of me. I'll take the shot. It's good
Yeah,
for
because like underneath of all that is this massive fear,
mhm,
right? And like we saw in our session
trauma.
the other day, yeah, that there was like this fear monster. It really does turn into a monster. And
Yeah.
it has so much control over people. It's the fear that's controlling everyone,
Right.
right? Because they're not bringing light to the unconscious. You know, they don't even realize that they're um, functioning from that fear, that their actions are a result of that fear.
Yeah. So in
So,
that way, we're like possessed by those emotions that, like, you know, those unconscious emotions that are just taking over us.
Well, I'll name for me.
What was that little face? I am about to put the little camera thing on. Sorry, because I have to run to the restroom. Excuse me.
Let's pause for a second.
Sorry.
Pause.
Right.
So what I was saying is
It sounded like an airplane. I feel like we're on an airplane.
pause the recording if you're curious about continuation and why it's not continuous, but we pause the recording. But yeah, I just sound like an airplane. What to do next? But what was I say about the quantum realm from what I like experience or would feel into? And I'm not going to word it the way I said it before because I already forgot how I said it when I was talking to y'all before the recording earlier. But what it feels like for me is like the fascia, like how we have the fascia in our body. That's like it's not quite solid and it's not quite liquid. It's like the connective tissue to all of the physical, avatars that we have, and or another way to think of it is like the mycelium networks, and like how it's like that connective place, and what it feels like is the quantum is like that space that helps you connect with spirit. It helps you connect past time and space. It's like I imagine it to be like rainbow in color, and beyond like the rainbow colors that we know, like all the full spectrum of the colors that we have yet to see. And it's very like I think when you were saying it, Liv, of like connect, like how those golden threads of connection, I feel like when you think of like the folklore of like the fates, how they weave life, and this, like I imagine what they're weaving is the quantum like
Mhm.
realm, whatever, these English words are weird because it's even like quantum feels like a word that's like not quite uh this nor that, but then when I try to add something else to it, like my mouth almost gets stuck because it's like
yeah,
the ambiguous place.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know that I want to be like put in a box because it's not a box. It's literally
Right.
everywhere. Like when you're doing energy healing, when you're bringing your attention to energy, it feels that like space in between everything,
Mhm. Mhm.
and something I've been doing. I saw what's it called, TikTok video. I don't have TikTok. I refuse to like go down that hole because I know I'll get stuck there. My sister sends me TikTok videos all the time, and then on Instagram, I guess you could see TikTok videos. There was this woman who was talking about the quantum, like playing with the quantum, and particularly she was saying this practice you could do when you go in the shower of like closing the curtain so it's like sealed off, and then going into the shower, and as you're showering, like imagine like the water being like washing over your body, but also like it's you playing with the quantum and like, you know, imagining what you're manifesting, like in your head, like being very serious, like very focused of like, I live in a life where there is abundance. I live in a life where there is no suffering. I live, you know, like speaking it into. And then when you get out of the shower, that's literally you getting out of this place that you were just playing into. And you're walking into the reality as you've just stated it to be, which is not quite the reality that you were in when you got into the shower. And I did this practice like a few days ago. And as I was like, I forget what it was that I was saying, but as the water was going down, I felt what I feel when I'm like really deep in ceremony or like really deep in energy healing. And it's like this like overwhelming like energy shower and like a burst. That's the best way I could describe it. And I was like, whoa, I'm like cleaning my hair. I'm like, whoa. I was like, okay, not quite sure what's happening here, but I'm going with it. And I'm gonna see what happened on the other side. And it's just, you know, it's interesting of like, it doesn't have to be so complex.
Right. Right. It really is that simple.
Yeah.
It really is that simple. Yeah.
Yeah. It was reminding me of there was a ritual that the Candomblé had prescribed once for a community or brought through, and and this is what I'm saying. I study this like every day. That I don't experience it as simple yet. I hope to at some point. I'm like, oh, it's simple. I don't understand it. I don't understand it well enough yet to experience it as simple. But I love that it can be simple. Yeah. But so I'm just kind of like observing the different facets of it. And so anyway, so they were encouraging this community to, it was like the intention of the ritual was like make believe. You're making believe you're whatever you want to be. You're like a mermaid, or you're, you know. And then so when I've been going into these meditations that I listen to, Joe Dispenza, it's like some of the meditations I listen to in the morning, and I'm like watching the energies while I'm going through the process, and then I'm like, oh, okay, so this is really interesting. So there's the point where you're coming out of your identity, basically, and so you're not yourself anymore. So what are you? You merge with the field. So just kind of allowing our identity to be more fluid, and then so I was imagining, so I'm like listening to that, and then because I was first learning about the quantum field around the time that the Candomblé had brought that through also, and so I was like trying to imagine, I'm like, it feels like the potential effect of that ritual would likely be similar to that, because everybody's and they were getting into the joy of it. I'm enjoying being a mermaid. It's like a child knows how to, oh, I'm at this now, I'm at that. And it's no big thing, you just like, it's a fluid. Now you get to experience this, So that's what I was remembering too, as you were talking about that. I'm like, that for one, that sounds like a really deep shower experience.
From TikTok.
Yeah, totally. But then I was like remembering that thing. So because so if this is all energy, so what happens when we're just kind of like trying on other energy, we're just kind of just like trying other energy, and then I don't know what happens, what if we are just a little more experimental with existence, that it doesn't have to be like intense or whatever, like prescriptive or whatever. It's like, I don't know, let's just play and see.
Right. Yeah. I love that. And that's again, like, play keeps coming up over and over again, like returning to the innocence of a child and the way they use their imaginations to create what they want, who they are, and from the age of birth to 7 years old, they're in a constant hypnotic state and absorbing everything around them and then creating whatever they want to be. So tapping back into that energy again and remembering what it felt like to be that.
Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
And create from that space of, the joy and the play and the wonderment and the all of, this is a new world, like just tapping back into that energy again.
That's what I was remembering from the last session we had together, that going into the past lifetime, it's fine to talk about it, right?
Yeah, you.
Yeah. It's like just making sure. But
I feel like because it's your session, it's totally good.
that's what I thought too, but I just wanted to make sure. I was like, did I sign a form to say that I wasn't going to say after my session? Because it was specifically, it was like a past life in Atlantis, and then it was like being around 15 years old, and I remember that it was these different, other like children around the same age, and it was like, having these understandings, or this like this school like on like learning with the elements and everything, and like wind and water consciousness and all these different things. And I remember specifically it was like about, I think the way it was said, it was like when Tena was asking the me that would have been at that time, it was like said something like divine play or something. It was just like like divine play, that you're experiencing these energies that, and what was really beautiful too was what I remember from that is that any of the other children that were there, like anybody that had these experiences, everybody was experiencing that together. That it was all on this like divine play, the like exploration of experience,
Mm-hmm.
That was nice.
Yeah.
That was a nice memory.
That was a good time.
Before you were saying, Liv, about trying on different energies, it was making me think of like how kids, what is that called? Dress play, where they like
Oh, yeah.
Dress up.
Yeah.
And like how much fun that is.
So much fun. They do that so naturally.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if we were just doing that we all got together, we're like, okay, let's play dress. Well, I do. If other people did that with me.
Yeah. I also want to name too, like the shower experience, like I got blasted with energy in it, but because I still have stuff that needs to be like, it's almost like calcification that needs to be like broken up in my subconscious still. But like once I stepped out of it, like it was like there was like a blip of like, whoa, and then I stepped out, and like I'm honestly pretty sure like I forgot about it a few minutes afterwards, and probably reverted back to
Reality.
before. So like it can be that simple, but
Right.
also there's also like you can't bypass that like having to heal that trauma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, conversation. I'm like, no, don't mean to be a downer.
Yeah, we're like,
Karen was like, true, Natalie, true. We gotta work through our traumas.
yeah.
True.
What's your method of working through your traumas? Anyone?
Face, you gotta watch the video. You gotta watch your face at that point. That was good.
In space when I said that. I know all of you kind of like just dropped and like, oh dang.
We're all like this and they're like.
I
didn't mean to be a downer there. My bad.
But it's so true though. It's so true.
We remembered our trauma. We're like, oh yeah, that was rough.
How do you guys deal with your traumas? Like, do you have methods, or like what do you like when you get triggered? Like, what do you do?
All of you. What do you mean? Go see you all.
I have like, I'm a very I've always done this, like even when I was younger, like I analyze myself. Like I don't need anyone else to analyze me. Like I do that already. And so what I do is like I'm always questioning like, why is this happening? Not like, why is this happening to me? Or like, like inside, like what's happening here, like what's actually going on. Like I'll get triggered, and it's taken me, I mean, like I was not a fun teenager to be around. I mean, I don't
Oh,
think
me too.
when I was triggered, because I did not have this awareness at the time. But like it's been a
Yeah.
work in progress to have more like spaciousness now, like that I didn't quite have back then. You know, my mom's a wonderful woman. She had to put up with a lot. So this is
I hear ya.
her. But no, like I take a lot of time to figure out, like I'll look back at something that happened and be like, okay, like what happened there? Like why did I get triggered by that person, and what am I like not releasing from that experience, and what stories am I formulating around what happened, and what are the emotions that are like stuck here. So I'll use the emotion code to like help me clear with the emotion and energetic, like um it feels like sludge.
Mm.
And sometimes like I can't, like emotion code is not enough, and then so that's I'm like I'm really looking forward to working with y'all, because I know it's gonna like really help catapult my like process in another well, yeah, another dimension, but also just like really like help in a big way. But I work with other practitioners, and really um like call myself to task is probably the best way to say it. And like, I mean, Liv and I have talked about this. Like, we had a rupture a few years ago between our friendship, and for me, like, it very well could have been easy to be like, oh, like I'm a victim, and like, oh, and I don't have friends, and you can go into those stories. But for me, I'm like, wait, what can I take responsibility here? Because clearly, it's like it's not. I'm not like things don't just happen around me. I'm a participant in whatever's happening, but it's whether or not I have awareness of that participation. And so for me, I look like, okay, like what are these unconscious stories that could potentially have been played out in what happened here? And like, how can I take responsibility for those things? And I generally, like when I have ruptures in relationships, I mean, if people want to heal that with me, I'm always down for it, because I was like, let's like heal this stuff so we're not to like continue having these patterns play out in other relationships, because they will.
Right.
I could probably say more, but I'll stop there.
It's a good one.
I would just because I'll add to that too, because not going into the specifics of the situation or how the rupture happened, but it was interesting when Natalie and I just like reapproached it and like went into more like a thorough clearing from the whole experience. Then it was amazing, just like, oh really, that's what you're experiencing? Oh wow. And because people that know me know that I talk about entities a lot too, because it's a whole other like additional thing that can contribute to misunderstanding, can contribute to, I mean, there are entities that feed on discordance, disharmony, like the opposite of relationships. And so, I mean, the whole thing I was talking about memory before, it can like get, it's not just like a snapshot. I can return to that energy and then watch how that happened. I'm like, wow, that was fueled also by that. And yeah, just helpful, totally. Yeah, when people we've all talked about this before we started recording, and since, it's just, yeah, I definitely pray that we in the collective continue to like weave a world into being where we all remember that we're all a part of whatever happens, for myself, or it's just like a muscle, I think, that just has to keep, which is helpful, which is connected to the release of trauma and everything, and the way that we relate to the energy that's in our field. And so if it is possible to inhale, like it can be empowering, I think, to realize like, oh wait, I'm not a victim in life, to transform. That's also the work that I've been doing through the years too, is just like find, oh wait, where do I still believe myself to be a victim? of life, you know, to continue to like transmute those places, to basically like grow up, you know, to mature those parts of ourselves. And I feel like that really is helpful in how we are able to release trauma and to heal, you know, because it's a more empowered position of like, oh, this is my body, and any trauma that exists inside of this body, and I have the ability to release it.
Yeah.
And if I'm really determined, I mean, there's a way. There's always a way. I mean, if I reflect back 10 years or something, how much trauma I was existing with, and I wrote about it too. I mean, like, to talk in a to I would have been I wouldn't there's no way I would have been able to do this. I would have been so flushed, so like, I mean, but that happens a lot, I think, with deeply sensitive souls. Like, it's my oh my. Lord have mercy. Sensitive souls coming in and like, oh my God, what's happening? Where did the love go? Whoa.
How about y'all, Karen and Tena?
My method's very similar to yours, Natalie.
Yeah.
You really go inward. I always used to, being in like my relationship with my ex too, he always turned it around on me. So I always took responsibility for both of us. So he was never accountable for anything. So I have still that program running through me where I make it about what I did wrong. So I'm trying to work through that. Like, I'm taking responsibility for how I make other people feel, and trying to detach from that, just looking at what I did per se, or why I did that, instead of feeling responsible for them. But yeah, I go in, I ask myself questions like, why am I getting this body sensation, or what does it relate to? So I can backtrack to like my core wounds and then kind of work through the inner child stuff. So I ask myself questions. So I have a specific line of questioning that I do for myself, and then I can ease myself into it and understanding the bigger picture. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's pretty much the same process, you guys. Just recognizing that trigger, which I really don't like that word. I just don't resonate with that word, but that just for lack of a better one, that sensation that you feel.
That stun.
Yeah. That you feel like a rise, from deep inside your body, and just sitting with that and trying to understand that and where it's coming from, and understanding the stories from the past or the traumas from the past that relates to what's happening now, and how it's manifesting in your life, your relationships. I mean, because we heal the most through our relationships, right? That's where most of our healing happens.
Yeah.
In the relationship realm of relationships. So yeah, and it's great to have a partner where you can do that and hold that space for each other, and be able to look at the things that are manifesting through that thread, and how it's like relating back to old patterns, like the old stories of because it starts in childhood, right? And the relationships that our parents had, and how that then manifested through you, and the relationships that you had in those unhealthy ways, mimicking what you saw as a child. So yeah, just understanding all of that, and then how it's showing up in the now, and being able to recognize and hold space for that and clear it. So same.
Same. This is kind of taking the conversation in a different direction, but we're in the quantum together, so that's how we do. But I remember the last conversation we had at the end, Karen, you were talking about dreams, and I feel like we were talking about like parallel realities, but mostly dreaming, like what happens when we dream. And not that I'm not putting the spotlight on you, Karen. You you don't have to answer this if you don't feel, like.
No worries. This is like my thing, my forte. Go ahead.
Well, like before, when Liv, when you were talking about what happened in the Beyond Quantum Healing session in the school in Atlantis with with the elements, and particularly because in the last divination with Contemplate, they were telling me about working with the air, with air bending particularly, and then qigong and all these things. I've been like, my focus has been on that. And so last night in my dream time, I was in a dojo with this like someone's teacher that I was recently introduced to, and like was going through this whole thing. I don't know how to explain it, but like it was just training. I was learning stuff, but remembering stuff. And then when I woke up this morning, I was like, wait, did I go to a dojo yesterday? Really interesting. Like I could feel it in my body. Like
yeah, because you were there.
You were there. Yeah.
And that happens all the time, where these different experiences of like
with your dreams.
Yeah, like it's like I know I go to sleep. I know there's part of the night that I do get rest, and then there's another larger part of the night where like I'm either going into some parallel thing,
Awesome.
another dimension. I don't even know what happened. Like, and I know you all experienced something like this, so I was just curious.
Yeah, you can harness your gifts. I mean, like sometimes you can set an intention and be like for that, for example, like I want to go to the dojo and learn how to do the qigong and all that stuff. And you could bring it into this physical world and then have that gift come out. So yeah, anything, you can ask for anything you want. I mean, like focus, put your focus in there. I haven't been dreaming lately, like I guess because I kind of put it on hold. I've been very specific before I go to bed, like I don't want to go to any dimension right now, like I need a rest. I don't want to have any interactions with any like, funny beings, like just leave me alone tonight. I forgot the AI last night and before I went to bed, so all I dreamt of was AI last night. So yeah, gotta add more to the list. But yeah, you could totally like ask for specific things. Sorry?
With AI, was it like pleasant dreams or not pleasant dreams?
No, I felt like it was a looping dream where I was just staring at a screen and I was looking at the Bitcoin graph refresh all night.
And you had that red light in your room too, right?
Yeah, the night before. I was sleeping and I saw, like how you could kind of see color through your vision, like your eyes closed. Well, it was a bright red, like bright red. I'll stress that. That I opened my eyes and my entire room was red. The walls were red and whatever. But it was like a half a second because I was still like in between worlds.
Right.
And then when I opened my eyes, it was morning. So I don't know if I got abducted or I don't know. I have no idea.
I've been having like really weird time jumps, like that happened during sleep time. I don't know. The last week has been really strange. I wake up, like it feels like I get sucked back into my body really fast. And then I wake up with this hot flash that comes from like my being and just like spreads throughout. And then I have to like get up. I can't even lay there. It's really strange, and it happens like 5 or 6 times during the night. And then the other morning, I had my alarm set, and I woke up and I put it on snooze, and then I felt like I fell back to sleep for like another 2 or 3 hours. Like, you know how you can sense how long you've been asleep?
You get really suspicious.
Yeah. And then I woke up and it was only 6 minutes later. And I was like, what is happening? And I heard my guide say, well, we felt like you needed more sleep. Because I was even questioning, like, was it daylight savings time? Like, did I miss something? Like, what is happening? I know.
Or is it 10:06 the next day?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so that was really strange. And there's been several other things with time recently. Has anyone noticed that? Or is it just me?
Like what? Like it's
Like any
not.
weird like feelings around time or missing time or um, like feeling like time's speeding up or going really slow?
I don't find the time is consistent for me.
Yeah, it feels really inconsistent.
It's really inconsistent, especially during the night. Like I'll be like really deep in a sleep, and like I get suspicious when I can sleep like that because I'm not normally like sleeping that deep, and then I'll wake up and it's like, yeah, 15 minutes that passed. It's like I go somewhere, like we go into the wormhole, and then time just like press pause while I'm in the wormhole, and I come back and it's like as if I never left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Purposely trying to go into those timeless spaces because I was told to. So I'm like, well, I'm like trying to do that. So I feel okay about it.
Well, that's good. You should set your intention if you want to like, harness like some gifts or things like that that you want to bring into this physical. You can like integrate yourself with that self of yourself, like in a different dimension, and merge it and bring it here and play the violin.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's what quantum jumping is for, right? That's what you can use it for, like to have that intention to merge with the aspect of you in another timeline that has the gift that you want to nourish within yourself now, you know? I mean, even something like playing the piano, you know, like there's a you in another timeline that's an expert piano player, whatever it is, you know? Yeah. But
Oh
I was
yeah, and yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Laugh.
I was curious if Natalie had any more dreams, like classroom dreams,
Oh,
since
all
we
the time.
last talked. Really?
Well, I have like, and I know we kind of like talked about it once,
Yeah.
but um,
Yeah, you had a bag of crystals.
thanks for that. I forgot about that, Drew. I don't write them down ever because I don't know, something about that just feels funny to me. Um, what is that called? Liv, what is that called?
Which?
The thing, this secret space program.
Hmm.
Oh
I
yeah.
always wonder. I mean, I didn't know about that until our friend Chiki like introduced us to that.
Mhm.
I've always been wondering, like, I've had many dreams of like being um in like a classroom, a college camp. Well, it felt like a college campus, um, a mall. I hate malls, like as a me
Are
not.
you like on the ground or do you feel like you're deep in, like in the basement?
For the mall.
No, well, just in general, like if you're walking in
The,
places, are you outdoors or are you like,
the one time, this was like maybe last year or the year before. I had a very specific dream about on campus walking outside, and it was getting attacked,
mhm.
and it wasn't like normal attack. It was like getting attacked from like all ways and having to be like protecting people to like get them out. Like, we got to go this way. Um,
Do you ever look at your body when you're in those spaces?
you know, I've been asked that many times. I always forget to look at what I feel like there's a part of me that just doesn't want to see what I look like. And so it'd be like it would be like Karen when you were talking about like in dreams where you the dream that you had where like it was all of us together and your like consciousness went into, and then like Liv was like, oh no, she's this is not right.
Yeah, no, she recognized that I was waking up
Yeah.
or my consciousness was coming in because she was just like kind of looking, and I ended up being in a gurney, and it looked like you guys were or whatever, like Liv. I remember it was Liv who was specifically there, was pulling me on the gurney and just kind of like looking like she's waking, like she's not supposed to be waking up. And I remember the tile around was like, that old 60s green. So it felt very creepy, like it has that creepy Dr. Jekyll kind of feel.
Yeah.
I'm like, where are we? And why am I on a gurney? And, like, why am I waking up? Like, I have no idea what's going on. I really don't. But yeah, I've had those like really weird dreams. I don't know if I talked about it that one time. Like, I woke up in a house and they removed all of my senses. like my third eye, my instinct or feeling, like how we just feel.
Yeah.
They removed all of that. So I walked in there I felt like as if my inner compass was gone.
Interesting.
That was scary.
That would scare the shit out of me.
It's really scary actually, because I was just like, oh my God, I can't feel. I don't know if this house is safe. I don't know who's in here. I don't know if that person is a good person. Like, you know how you just have those feelings?
Yeah.
None of it was gone, completely gone. And then after that, I heard like, I was able to tap into what was happening, like as if someone was orchestrating this scenario. And they were saying, oh, she's waking up now. Because I started to feel and I started to hear them telepathically, and I was able to see what they were doing. And then I was getting my senses back. So they saw that I was actually getting my senses back. So I don't know if these are programs or if these are just things, like from the space program. I don't know. But that has been coming up into our awareness, like with, super soldiers and such things. Like we had a session with a super soldier, so we were able to see that world.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting. That's why I ask, like, because every time I see myself, let's say, walking in with people, it feels very military like. I look down, I'm always wearing, I was wearing like a green tight shirt, and my boobs are bigger than normal, and I'm like, oh, this is weird, like, and it's my shirt's tucked in, and I feel like I'm in military, and the walls are like, you hear like the leaky stuff, like the water dripping.
Oh,
Yeah, and it feels damp, like where we're walking, but it's dark. So it's like we're in a hallway, but it feels very deep in the ground somewhere. Or I don't know if we're on a planet. I don't have no idea.
Yeah, I can't say that. I feel like I've always been able to see, like, I'm thinking of one in particular. There was like a lecture hall, and there was windows, and there was light coming in, so it wasn't like deep underground. I don't know. I've never had that feeling of being deep underground.
Okay.
I'll say that. And but I do remember actually before we had the divination that we had recently, a few nights before, I had a dream where I looked up into the sky and I could see, like, do you remember the movie The Truman Show?
Yeah.
And like how there was like tiles, or
Yeah.
someone else pointed out the Hunger Games, how it was also like tiles. Like I remember looking at the sky and I could see the tiles, and I was like, this is not the real sky. And I remember like yelling at whoever, like, this is not real. This is not real. This is not the real sky. And I was like, nope. And I woke myself up from that dream. But I remember being like, y'all need to get out of here. This is not the real sky.
There's still that part of yourself.
Wow.
You'll get out of that situation, and then that person is still existing, and they come back to them. They're like, what am I pointing at? Your consciousness comes out, right? So yeah, I'm curious. Like, I'm always curious to know, like, what happens when we jump out. Are they in trouble? Are they,
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoops. Sorry.
Well, sorry.
I have sovereignty, not gonna get stuck in those weird places. So thank you and goodbye. How are you, Liv?
What's that?
What's going on for you?
With the dreams?
Yeah.
I wish I was able to dream like that. Like I don't have good experiences when I go to sleep. I was talking to Tina about it recently too in the session, but no, it's not. And I do like the different things I do, like put intention and stuff, and there are external forces that give me a really hard time in dream space, and so it's not like I want to, like, it's frustrating for me because there's a sense that I have that it's like an area where I'm meant to be working, like intentionally in a lucid way.
Yeah.
And so I've tried different things of listening to like lucid hypnosis. It's something that I'm like actively focusing on right now. Like that I've been listening to different like Tibetan lucid dreaming and just different practices and stuff, but it doesn't. It's hard for me. It's there are beings that just give me a hard time, and it's not just like bad dreams or something. So it's a point of frustration for me.
I feel that too. I don't like, I told you about that one really good dream I had. And
Yeah.
that was like the best dream I've ever had ever. And besides that, I can't remember my dreams. Like I'm just always having a hard time at night.
Yeah, it's hard. It's like, because I remember too. I remembered it was years ago when I was first studying with Maladema, my longtime teacher, and his like main facilitator at that time, who is a really strong diviner. I remember him divining me at that time, and he was just saying like how these demons or something would be like battling me in the dream or something, that it was like trying to find a way to, but that's, I've heard this so many times with people who have, not so many times, but enough times with people who are able to like, that I get readings from, who are really, you know, like gifted in those ways, that um I don't know, this is just something I've learned recently, is just like, if I'm just really honest, like it's just it's hard, you know, it's like, it sometimes it feels like being hunted, you know, in ways, and that's hard.
Yeah.
So I was talking to Tina last time about her practices to just kind of like do more around the, so it's kind of tricky, as we were talking about before.
Yeah.
I'm into not seeing myself as a victim, and also I'm simultaneously aware that there are external forces that, you know, so, but that's just what I've kind of like learned since listening to different people's stories, is this is just, I guess it's kind of a little bit like the Sense8.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of the Sense8, right? Those shows that we
Yeah.
watched.
Yeah.
Did you two see that, the Sense8?
Mm-mm.
It reminds me a little bit of that, you know,
Yeah.
that there are these people that have these like, it's like all of, I feel like we all are similar to that, you know, that we have these abilities and ways, and perhaps even before we meet each other in the flesh, then we're, as each of us grows, then it helps the other to grow in these different ways, you know, our abilities and the extra senses and all of that. And also there's other, it's just like the thing about, is that really the sky, or you know what people talk about the matrix and stuff. There are, as far as my, to the extent of my awareness currently, there are forces that don't want us to, you know, to really get the full scope. That's why I'll never say that I'm awakened.
Yeah.
I have experienced layers of awakening, but that's why I will not say that, is because I'm aware of how much is still unaware. You know, I can sense it, so that's why I won't say that. But I have experienced that more and more, and I think it's just part of what's kind of the battle that's happening
Yeah.
in the ether. So I love hearing about people's experiences and stuff. I'm like, I think it's so beautiful. I love, you know, it feels like an important time, you know, that you can go into that space and like train in these different ways. It feels, you know, I get excited hearing about it, but it is a point of frustration.
Yeah. I hear that.
Yeah.
It was like I this is like how I my mom says, like, even when I was a little kid, like I've always been, I would have like movies is what they call it. Whenever I tell them in the morning, I'm like, man, I had this crazy dream. And then I'll tell them what happened. And that my family will look at me like, you dreamt all of that? Like you didn't make any of that up? I'm like, no, that's really what just happened.
Right. I know it's so detailed sometimes, no?
Yeah. But like
So detailed.
I also like, I'll have some that are really terrifying. And only recently have I been able to like, I figured out the ejection button and like literally wake myself up. Where like
Oh, how do you do that?
I realized I could eject myself from them. It was like really weird. It sounds simple, but I realized I could eject myself from them. But then I've been having this other thing that's happening now where it's like, do you know the movie Inception?
Yeah.
Where like I'm in Inception style dream. So like I'll eject, but then I'm stuck in something else. And then I'll like keep ejecting. And it hasn't happened in the recent weeks. I think the last time we connected, it might have happened like more like maybe that last week before that. But I have like in this space that I'm in, like where I sleep in, I've had to grid out the space. Like before I moved into this room, for example, like I had to grid it out, do like energy work and be like very clear of like, this is the boundary this is like this is my sovereign space. I like have a ritual before I go to bed, and then like I'll call in my guides. I'm like, all right, I'm going to sleep now. Please hold the boundary, like watch the space. And even then, like even doing all these different things that I do, sometimes I still get attacked in sleep. And then I have to like checked out, and then I'd be like, no, and then I have to like calm myself down and then clear. And then like
I know. Doesn't it sound like we have to keep doing stuff like that? It's crazy. Like we're just adding more stuff to the list. Like I forgot the AI and I dreamt of, that's all I dreamt of last night. Like Bitcoin. Like what?
Yeah. The thing, also the thing that I really don't like it also when it's like it's the sexual energy gets messed with. That's part of what I was remembering, is that it happens sometimes, and it's like it really, really bothers me when that happens. I'm like, don't mess with my sexual energy. It's like it's an outer energy that will try to kind of like get you into a state of arousal in the dream space.
Yeah.
To mess with your energy, but and I just, it's been very much articulated to me through somebody who is a very strong seer, like what exactly that is. And that's why it feels, I'm like, still, it doesn't happen all the time. It just happens sometimes. I'm like, it got in. But yeah, I feel that, Karen, it's just like the list of things that, add on what, like Tina, you're talking about, like the invisibility and everything. I'm like, I got to take notes because, how do you?
We have like a ritual. Tina and I have a ritual. We have to make it a ritual so that we protect ourselves. Because even my children, like I've gotten them into the habit of like, I tell them, I go, okay, do the code, and they do their little code, and then they set up the booby traps. And then they're like, but if you're gonna work, mom, like you'll be like immune to the booby traps that we put around the house, like, so they play into it. And I asked them, like, because my son was like, how do I know that the code is right? And I go, you'll feel it, like you'll feel it inside. And then he's like, it's true, I know what that feels like he knows. So I'm getting them to understand what feeling is, like. So yeah, I get them, they do the booby traps, I trust them. I tell them I go invisibility cloak. I always make them do that, like just protect yourself. And I add stuff as their mom, like don't psychically attack them, do not, like, we don't. Yeah, no, it's, you have to be specific.
Awesome.
Yeah, no psychic attacks, no what do you call negative ETs, no dark force entities, no earthbounds, no cords, no portals. Like you have to be specific.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, and like when you talk about like the victim consciousness, Liv, I totally get that.
Yeah.
And you don't want to like create a victim mentality by protecting yourself, but I always do it out of love for myself, and not out of fear, or not out of like I'm gonna be a victim or whatever that feeling is. But just the awareness of the reality we live in, right? And having the love and respect for self to create your sovereign space. And keep it.
I've had that experience too, like laying down, and I had the invisibility cloak over myself and the kids and then over the bed, but I didn't extend the cloak outward, or I didn't seal my room or whatever. And there was a dark being that was literally right at right where my cloak was, in my face, and I could feel it breathe on me, like, so I was just like, I was kind of like on my side, and it was just there. It was a big face, and it was dark, and I felt it, and I was just like, well, thank God the cloak's there, because he can't come through. But it was just, I'm consciously aware of what's happening right in front of my face, and I just turned around, and I'm like, I'm not scared of this, like, I'm protected, it's fine.
It was right when you're going to sleep?
Well, no, I was waking up, like I felt it when I was awake, like I was sleeping, and then I woke up and I felt the presence right in my field.
Oh yeah.
So it's important to just put it there. But again, like I didn't get, usually I would get scared, but I was like, with the work that we do too, like I don't get scared about these dark things anymore. So I was just like, well, that's interesting. It's like a big face. That's just, and I felt the air of it breathing on me. So it was just like, okay, well, just put my back there.
I'm going back to sleep.
Yeah, I'm going back to bed. I'm like, you can't touch me, and just enforce it. Like, okay, ensure that the cloak is really sealing, and that's it. Go back to bed. You can't get. I mean, it's scary, but you can't get scared, because then that's where you become vulnerable.
And a really good trick for that too is to send them love, because it's the love energy that's going to repel them. The fear will attract them more.
I have the cloak there, and I'm like, and I turn back around. Love you.
I'll blast out from my heart this like golden, like it's like almost like a golden bomb. It's like, and then like it's like this shield goes like, whoop.
Yeah. You can get creative with it,
Yeah. I like it though.
Okay.
It's usually like, well, at least recently, it doesn't feel so much scary as it feels frustrating. It feels frustrating because when you like actually focus on something and then try, because I'm grateful that a lot of things that I like focus on or something that like there's enough like tools or ways or practitioners or whatever that I can work with to transmute or to transform things. Like I had the experience the other night where I was like, experiencing, it was just like maybe like a subtle harvesting of my like sexual energy or something. And I just got like frustrated, like, back off,
Back off.
Basically, it's like that happened, it's just knowing that I'm doing different practices is more of a point of frustration. Yeah, definitely encountered a lot of the gnarly beings along the journey, but yeah, it's more frustrating. But
I totally get that. Like Karen and I have experienced that too, like over the last year of just like we're doing all these things, why are we still getting attacked?
yeah,
right? And it can be super frustrating. What the guides have said, I'm like, okay, well, you tell us to call you in as protectors. We do that. Why are we still getting attacked?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what they said was it could be so much worse. So.
Oh yeah.
They're like, take what you can get, okay? Because like I asked them, I remember I got attacked really badly, and I was just like, I go, where the hell were the people that were protecting me? Like, where are you, Archangel Michael? And I picture them like on break, taking a break, like a smoke break, and they're just like, she's fine. Like, what's 10 minutes? Like.
Sharpening his sword. Like it's just
It's interesting because while that was all happening, the other thing I was noticing, because I was feeling this it felt like a goddess energy or something, and I was feeling into, because it was like a particular energy, and then it felt like these beings that I noticed, I only experienced DMT maybe one time or something, maybe once, I think once, but it felt like these beings that I remember connected to DMT. So it was interesting that being what felt present while we've been talking about dreams.
Interesting, yeah. Well, doesn't our brains release some small doses of DMT in our dreams?
Yeah, that's what I was making the connection to, because I was like, what is that being? And then, yeah, that's what I was noticing too.
What's a DMT again?
I don't know.
I think it's the active, it's the ingredient, and so people who drink the beverage of ayahuasca, who like work with that medicine, is like they call it the spirit molecule, it's what the Western world calls it, the spirit molecule. And in the brew of ayahuasca, there's another, I forget what it's called. There's another thing that allows for your body, because your body can't actually take in DMT in oral ways. So there's another compound that allows for your body to actually take it in.
Okay.
I know people
like suppository.
Yeah, I don't know what that would mean. But sure.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. We'll look that up after. Google that.
It feels not like we're for some reason. You said that
Just-
word.
I
I'm like,
just-
"Oh,
just
it's
Karen,
kidding.
I feel like you're so naughty. You totally crack me up. You have such a
Naughty
naughty
way.
side to you. It's so good. She's like always bringing in like the naughty undercurrent. I totally love it. I love that. It's like this like naughty, like subtle undercurrent. It's totally awesome.
Um,
Oh,
I
thanks.
I forget what I was saying.
Oh, you're saying like it was a compound that they take, or like they had it so that you can take that specific thing.
Yeah, and I also know people like smoke DMT, and it just like straight DMT, and that allows for them to like catapult into the dimension that DMT takes you to.
You have to be some sort of ready to do that, no? Like
Huh?
you have to be some sort of ready to do things like that, no? Like that's pretty
Yeah.
trippy.
Good idea to do that. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone is, but it's a good idea.
Like,
I've witnessed some people who may not have been ready, and I've been physically in this space watching them do. I'm like, huh, interesting.
Oh, really? Oh my God. No. That would freak me out.
They're ready as much as like they're willing to do that.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Normal, I guess. I don't know.
I feel like there's there beings that are waiting for us to notice them. That I should say that they're like, when are they gonna speak to us? So I'll say, I'm saying like the four of us together. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're asking me to connect with them, but I will say that I just have a little more time to be on the line. But I hope it's okay that I say this, but I feel like they're looking at us all like, are you going to acknowledge us? And so if you all are open to maybe completing our ceremony together, our call together in this way, it feels, I keep notice them. That's why I was starting to notice, what are these beings that are with us? But if you all feel that too, it seems like they're wanting us all to bring some message through for people or something like that. Do you all notice that?
I'm on board.
Yeah, okay.
You don't feel that?
I'm like, oh wow, we should stop soon. And I'm like, but there's something else that wants to be said. And I'm like, it's not coming through me. I don't know where it wants to go.
Well, I feel like they're all just like looking, and it's making me like hot, you know? Like, do y'all, you're not
right.
noticing these beings that are waiting for us to talk to them?
I think they're waiting for you.
Yeah, Liv, you could represent us.
Do you think so? Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what comes through.
Okay, I'll turn off the camera. Do you want me to just, because it feels like they're wanting to talk.
Yeah, whatever.
The body's really hot.
Whatever you feel is more comfortable.
Okay.
I'm curious.
Oh gosh. The energy was getting really strong. Like, you don't notice these beings. I don't understand. They're like, when are you going to talk to us?
Wonder
It
which
feels
being.
like there's something that happens when the four of us get together. It's like it opens up a particular portal or something like that. But okay. Y'all are so funny. You like we're all getting caught up in like the human realm. Like, you didn't notice those beings? They're just
We've
like,
been small talking for a little bit, and that's actually
yeah, I know. They're like really tall and they're just like staring.
Oh, I had a tall being in my room the other couple weeks ago, but I was like, not today. I'm going to bed. Like, I can't. Like, I just, there's that part of me that wants to see, but I don't know how ready I am to physically see them in my, here. And I feel like that's a preparation point, and then I'm like, but then I'm so tired, and I'm like, no, not now. Maybe another time.
Good
Thank
luck with
you.
that, Queen.
Thank you for being here.
Good luck with that. They're saying the goddess is wanting acknowledgement. They're saying it's time for us women gather to, you know, to make like more of a common practice of acknowledging the goddess. She's saying like she was, you know, like wondering like why it wasn't happening. They're saying these times are changing rapidly. They're saying an acknowledgement of the honoring of the goddess energy is supporting the continuity of life. The life stream which feeds the children of the earth. They said they love that we all come together and have fun together. But they're saying too, also, you know, they're encouraging us to recognize like the higher purpose of us all uniting, and to put these it's like these abilities and everything that we've been communicating about are the strengths that that you all have like in your dream time, in your dream space, for us to kind of like talk about how to like actualize them in this dimension in a way that is they're saying like taking responsibility for like being a culture like a culture bringer. They said other than that, well done. They're saying they're not, you know, it's not only like interesting ideas, but they're all these it's wanting to be actualized in the physical dimension, like what you're talking about, Karen, about you know, like is this wanting to be seen? Like it is wanting to come into the physical dimension. Like these ways are seeking to be brought into the physical dimension, and it's requiring us, if we choose that, to actualize it in this physical dimension in these quantum ways, like what we've been talking about. And yeah, other than that, they're saying so well done. Okay. Aside from that.
Thank you, Liv. Thank you, Contemplate, and thank you, Goddess.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Calling us back to what's really actually important.
What's that?
And thanks for calling us back to what really is actually important.
Oh, thanks. It's so nice to connect with you. I was like, what is that feeling that I'm feeling? Something is getting really like, it felt, I was trying to notice exactly what it was, and I've seen all these tall beings just staring at us. I was like, there's a reason why they're staring at us.
What did they look like to you? Do you see what they look like, or you just sense them?
Those in particular, it was like these, those in particular, before the Contemplate started sharing who was there, I was feeling the goddess energy. So I was feeling, it's like, they feel super, super tall and like goddess. So not seeing so much the, like more of description of that, because I was like going in between listening to what you all were saying, and then I was like feeling them staring, and then I was like, what is that one? And then I was like, oh, that's a DMT being. Why is the DMT being here? You know, I was like feeling the different ones. But just more feeling their soul presence or something, or this yeah, that was just what struck me, because I'm like, wow, they were really tall. And then it felt like there was multiple of them that was starting to make me feel hot.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing that message.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
See, they even did the mic drop at the end.
I know.
Oh yeah, they'll do the mic drop.
They're the makers of the mic drop.
Yeah. It was one of the rituals that we were at. It was Amanda was there. Natalie was in Ohio, and she was. I think it was, or excuse me, I think it was Amanda that said that, or somebody. I can't remember. It was somebody at the Ohio ritual, and they were saying it was whatever the contumely said. Somebody said like rattle drop, like a rattle drop instead of a mic drop.
Nice. Well, I know, as always, whenever we all gather together, I feel like, oh, like I don't want to leave. I want to keep being in this. And also, we have things we have to do, and so I feel like this is a good place to bring our conversation to a close. Before that, if all of y'all just can share a bit about what you're creating and where people can find you. We'll start with Liv, and then we'll go to Tena and Karen.
What I'm creating. Well, there's a school that was created, and it starts, I think, in a couple of weeks. Heart-centered shamanic school, which is working with creation energy, and then I think there's some other things that we've got going on that's on the website. I was like, remembering, I was like, oh yeah, there's that sacred abundance. So at earthsamulet.com is where people can find me, and then some other places too, but trying to get everybody on Clubhouse. I was like asking Tina, I was like, are you on Clubhouse? I just joined. She was like, no, that's on my phone. Anyway, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Their YouTube channel, so people can check you out there too.
Yes.
Cool. Tena, how about you?
Well, you can find us on quantumhealingwithtena.com.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just browse. Be nosy and browse.
It really is. There's a lot on that. Like, there's a lot on your website. I feel like I find something new every time I go there. I'm like, wow.
Really?
Oh, yay.
Oh, great.
Even if I press the things on the menu, I didn't know if I pressed the menu, there's a page there. I always just like hover over and then go to the stuff below. I just discovered today that I'm like, oh, I could press there.
Yeah, there's stuff. There's hidden stuff, hidden gems. Yeah, come take a look. Or I don't know, all our stuff is there. Like we're always like connecting with different people. So if ever anyone's interested in having a session with us, that would be fun. Natalie, next. Pressure?
No, just what are you creating in your life? That doesn't have to be like a work thing. Just like what's exciting for you, and what's inspiring you, or
what's inspiring me? I'm just trying to feel more comfortable in my body, you know, like just being as me as I possibly can every day, and just doing my best, you know, trying to juggle my world with my children and me, my multidimensional self, and just expressing it as it is in that moment, and always forgiving it. Always a lot of forgiveness involved. Like, better luck next time.
How about you, Tena?
Oh, well, Karen stole mine, so. Yeah, I'm just always, the same, like just clearing the unconscious, right? bringing more light to the unconscious, in order to make space for and remembering who I truly am. So that's always a work in progress, remembering deeper and deeper parts of myself and expressing that authentically.
Mhm.
Well, I love the three of you very much.
Love you too.
Love you guys too.
Love you guys.
For those who are still tuning in, thank you for tuning into this week's Cosmic Earth Conversation. Hope it was helpful for you, and yeah, that you had fun, because I know we did.
Yeah, always.
It's
It's like our slumber party.
Yeah. Well, until next time, sending you all so much love.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.